So to graph this piecewise function, you first look at the graph of y equals negative 3x. Negative 3x plus 0, if you want to think about it in terms of slope-intercept form, y-intercept of 0, slope of negative 3, and you get this line right here. Not a great line, but it's the line y equals negative 3x. But since we're looking here, we see here that we have a domain restriction of x has to be less than or greater than negative 2, there's negative 2 there, and greater than or equal to 0, we're only allowed this piece of the piecewise function, which is what I'm shading here now. So I'm shading in or coloring in the piece of y equals negative 3x that is graphed over the domain of negative 2 to 0. Okay, so that's the first piece. Then we look at the second piece. Now the second piece is f of x equals negative x squared. So we should know what y equals negative x squared looks like. Y equals negative x squared. As the parabola, it opens down. But this parabola is only defined between 0 and 2. So yeah, there would be an open circle at 0, but that's already taken. It would come down here like this. It would go through negative 1, and it would go through negative 2, 4, negative 4. And likewise, it would go through 1, negative 1, 2, negative 4, and that's as far as we're going to get. So we're going to have an open circle there. Again, we don't put the open circle there because it's already filled in. And then we do put an open circle right there when x is equal to positive 2. So we're only allowed to define this function on the interval from 0 to 2. So that's the only part of it we're allowed. We're only allowed to plug in numbers between 0 and 2 into the second piece. And then the third piece, f of x equals 2 when x is greater than 2. So 1, 2, open circle there, because when we plug in 2 to the function, we get d and e. The function doesn't exist when you put in 2. 2 is not a part of the domain. F of 0, we can see from the graph, is equal to 0. But from up here, we would write negative 3 times 0. So if you use the definition of the piecewise function, you can see that x is less than or equal to 0. We then would put 0 in place of this x up here, and we would just get 0. Now f of negative 1, also negative 1 is between negative 2 and 0, so you would replace x in the first piece with negative 1, and you would get 3. And that's why the point negative 1, 3 is actually on the graph. Okay? So that takes care of the piecewise function part of this quiz. The second part is we want to graph g of x minus 1 minus 2. This is the graph of y equals g of x, as it says right here. The graph of g of x is below. Okay, so we're going to put dots here, and we're just going to move each of those dots. We're going to move the whole graph to the right. So g of x minus 1 means we're going to go to the right 1. The minus 1 on the outside means we're going to go down 2. All right, so we're going to go right 1 and down 2. So 0, 0 becomes 1, negative 2. Each point we're going to go right 1 and down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2. And then we're just going to connect the dots with the same shape. Okay? All right, so that's that one. That's version 1.